The weakness in the price of silver continues. During September, we saw it trade back to its worst levels since July 2020. So what next? Is this a bargain price to be buying silver, or actually is it the start of a much bigger move lower? I often refer to it as a boring market, silver. We've seen it trade pretty much sideways over the last 12 months, pushed to the bottom of the range in August in that flash crash, something of a bounce back, but given up all those gains and more and traded as low as, $21.40 in September, its worst levels since the surge back in July 2020. So I thought, let's do an update for the weeks ahead, see where the opportunities might be and see if there's a trade to do. I do have a trade running at the moment. So it's right down here, buying on the 21st of September, buying in at 22.43. The market is 22.36 at the time of recording. My stop was in at 20. I'm slightly down on that trade, but nothing really. But actually, I think this is the wrong trade to be in now. I don't know if I really still want to be long silver from down here. So is it time to reverse the position? Let me talk a bit about some of the recent news about silver, the levels to watch. Then we'll come back onto the platform and see what the trade might be. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we'd do a shorter term outlook for silver for the month of October, just taking a look at the few weeks ahead, where we can expect it to go, perhaps. So as usual in this video, I'll talk a bit about what's been driving silver, why we've seen it so weak recently, some of the levels to watch, then we'll jump back onto the platform and take a look at it in a bit more detail. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel. Plus, of course, every Friday at 2:30 UK time, I now do a live stream direct from the YouTube channel where we take a look at silver, gold, a whole host of different markets over the course of an hour. If you're subscribed with the alarm bell notification pushed, you get a message off YouTube just as we're about to go live. Right, let's get into it and take a look at silver in a bit more detail. I often refer to silver as a boring market, and I think it has been the last few weeks. It's been a volatile year, don't get me wrong. We've seen the price go as high briefly as $30 back in February, traded below $22 again over the course of the last week. But broadly speaking, if we look at it, it's just directionless. We have this wide range, but no real trend. You know, when you look at the performance of other markets this year, let's say stock markets, vastly outperformed the price of silver. We had some drama in August, of course. We had a flash crash for gold and silver at the start of a week on a Sunday night as Asian trading got underway. We saw the price of silver fall from around $24 the Friday close to briefly below $22 in under an hour. It had recovered for that, but it has turned lower once again. I think there's been a few things weighing on the price of silver. Over the course of the last week, we've seen the US dollar push to its best levels in more than a year. If you look at something like the US dollar index, the dollar as a basket of other currencies, it has been doing well, and that we saw that put pressure on the price of silver and slip, again, quite briefly last week to new lows for 2021. So for the year to date, like I said, it's been a disappointing year for silver. It's down by about 15% for 2021. At the time of recording, it still looks weak. You know, it was only a few days ago we saw the price hit new lows for the year so far. So what could change for silver? Well, I think, stock markets have proved really attractive, continue to prove attractive this year, and we've seen a good performance there. We have seen some volatility and some weakness over the last, 4 weeks or so on concerns, amongst other things, about inflation. Now, I think if we saw inflation continue to increase, perhaps the fear amongst investors, that's something that could help the price of silver as the year goes on. But there's no denying it's been weak, it's been a poor performer. Let's take a look at the levels to watch, then we'll jump onto the charts and see what the trade could be down here. So lots of potential resistance levels left on the way up. The first of these for me are just above $23, the 22nd of September high. And then, of course, it slid to new lows for 2021. I've needed to revise the support levels for silver on the downside because it has slipped to these new lows. So the low it hit end of September was $21.40. So that's one level to watch. I think if we start breaking below there, then we've got to look at $20 as the next target. And if that breaks, we could see a real sustained sell-off in silver. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take a look at where we are now, take a look on the charts, and see what the trade might be. So we had this wide sideways range going back to July last year to where we are now. Whenever we see silver push much above $28, $29, the sellers would come back out. And then when we saw it drop, like we did, this time last year, down to sort of 21.65, that sort of area, again below 22 in November of last year, and again on that flash crash, we'd see the price snap back. But it snapped back, but has pushed lower since then. So we've actually traded down to the worst levels since July of last year. And I do wonder, is this the start of a deeper sell-off in silver, even deeper than what we've experienced since June when the price was at $28? So I think there's a couple of ways of trading this at the moment, and I'll come to that in a second. But let's just take a look at some of the indicators. If we take a look at the RSI down here, it did go heavily oversold on that latest sell-off at the end of September. So again, a suggestion that perhaps the price had moved too far down and we were due a bounce. We've had a slight bounce back since those 14-month lows. The last RSI oversold was here, third week of September, didn't do much, and then it did actually move lower since then. So the RSI at the moment is, I suppose, pretty near the middle. So we're not getting too much from that from an extreme point of view. So what I would like to focus on is what the price is actually doing. So we had this old support, big support from September last year at 21.65. The markets punched through that by 20 cents at the end of September this year. So you could take the view, if you really wanted to be a buyer of silver now, you're getting it at a bargain price compared to where it's been over the last 12 months. So I think an aggressive trade, if you're a buyer now at 22.36, is to buy it with a stop loss the other side of that low, the other side of 21.40 somewhere, perhaps down at 20 like I had on my existing trade. But if we look at the current trend from silver, if we pick up on it from the June highs, that trend is still down. So even though the move over the last 12 months has been sideways, we've been in this downtrend now for, about 4 months. And that trend line resistance currently coming in around $24. We have the highs from mid-September ahead of 24 as well. And I just wonder, given that it's been so weak and we saw that fresh 14-month low, are we going to see that level revisited? So actually, what I'm going to do, and I can't remember doing this in any previous videos, I'm going to close out my existing long position at pretty much break even and, pause for drum roll, I'm going to go short silver. So I'm going to sell it because I think it's going to go lower from here. So let's close that trade out first of all. So here's the long silver buying at 22.43 with a stop at $20. The $20 stop didn't get taken out. But in the face of this downtrend, I don't want to be long anymore. So let me close that position and take the small loss on that. That's it, the trade's closed. So we realized £6.48 loss on that trade. Let's jump back onto the platform and set up the new trade. So that trend is down since June. So I want to follow this trend. We've seen a bit of a bounce back after that 14-month low, but I want to sell short. The only question is, where's my stop going to go? The closest I want the stop, the other side of the 22nd September high, just above $23. I would like to give it a bit more room than that. I think if I was going to go very conservative, I could put it up here at 25. But what I might do, put it just above the mid-September high. So I'll go 24.50. That's what I'll do for a stop to keep the numbers easy for me. So I'm going to sell short silver. I think the risk is we'll see a trip back to $21.40. If that breaks, I think we could see a much more sustained sell-off, perhaps back to $20 first of all. Let's set the trade up. So I'm ready to go. At the moment, the price of silver is trading at $22.35 or thereabouts. I'm going to sell 158 ounces where the market is now. I'm going to put my stop loss in at $24.50, so a couple of dollars above where I'm selling. If I get stopped out on this trade, I'll use it's the usual £250 of risk that we place in these trades. Let's send that order through. Click on sell. So I'm short. I've opened 158 silver at $22.35. So this trade will move into profit if the market falls from here. And I do think if that level gets broken, that low from late September, $20 does not seem like a ridiculous next target for the price of silver. And I'd think about moving the stop loss in tighter if it actually got that low. For me, if we start to trade above 24, then for perhaps the first time it looks like we're breaking out of this trend from June, but we're not seeing any signs of that at the moment. We'll see how it evolves over the next few weeks. It has been this broadly sideways market for a year, but that trend since June is still down. So I'm going to jump on this latest bounce higher and see if the price turns lower from here and clocks up some profit for the short silver trade. That's it for this update in silver. So still broadly sideways overall, but downwards. Pretty weak year so far, really underperformed. Let's see how the next few weeks are. We'll come back to it. We'll do an update. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your trading. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.